Hello and welcome to HIVE Thrive number 39 with co-host Menno. I'm Shadows Pub, and our guest today is Alessandrawhite. Alessandra has been on the chain since 2022, and unlike a lot of us, she decided she was going to get busy and actually kind of learn how to understand the blockchain and how it works and who's what. Welcome, Alessandra.
Oh, hey, y'all. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for your kind invitation. I was like, when you asked, I was looking on the Discord message. I'm like, okay, let me make sure that this was intended for me. I'm basically like looking to my left and looking to my right. And I'm like, I think she's talking to me. So thank you.
I don't know what your first clue would have been, other than the fact that maybe it was in our DM. So you came on board to Hive in 2022, April 2022 to be exact. And up until then, you had created and were running the creative work hour. And then, as I
Yep.
recall, you ventured on to Hive or Twitter Spaces. I'm not calling it that letter of the alphabet. And decided to open a space. So tell us what happened about that.
Well, I started Creative Work Hour on June 1st of 2021. And from that point in time, I was thinking about how does technology, because this was like, the world was still basically on lockdown. How does technology help creatives make their own stages when there was lockdown and musicians couldn't get on stages and you couldn't get into studios? Professors couldn't teach, conservatories were shut. Like, how can we use technology to help creatives get their work out into the world? And so one of the questions that I came up with was, well, what's this all about blockchain? And what is it as a substrate? I like to think I grew up in Texas. And I like to think of a basic running operating system as a pickup chassis. And I'm like, so if you can build things on top of pickup chassis, you can make luxury SUVs. So what could we use blockchain for that would aid the whole creative experience and maybe make the world so much better than it already is in light of all of this lockdown? And so that thing about blockchain, I just started asking people. I started asking people that were far more talented, far more techie than and I basically could not get a straight answer of what essentially is blockchain and how could it be used to care for the provenance of a piece of artwork, for example. Or if I have started out on writing a play, how could I use blockchain to secure my creative rights? And as a designer, that's super important to me because when I was in design school, we were taught very stringently, you keep documents on all of your design development because you don't know when you're going to have to prove that you're the one who made this thing come into the world. So, in thinking about blockchain, what is it? I kept asking, and I kept coming up with BS answers. And so, even though I'm really shy, I heard about this technology of audio social, where social media has spaces that you can open up a mic and you can have a show, just like a radio show, just like this, just like Hive Thrive. So that's what I did. And I just like toggled on the power and tapped on the microphone. Is this thing working? Is anybody out there? Without mansplaining, is there somebody out there that can explain blockchain to me? And that little experiment was found by a couple of people, and those couple of people said, "This is interesting. You don't know what something is, and so you're opening up a microphone on a really large platform to say, 'Can anybody explain this?'" And that's basically baby steps of how I got to Hive, was I met you in that crazy experiment, Shadows.
You did, and you actually believed what I told you. Yeah, it was even more fun.
Well, that'll show me.
So you joined the blockchain. You got your feet wet by doing some posting, which was an interesting challenge for you, as I recall.
Oh
And
my gosh. Yeah.
and then you heard about this thing called Hive Fest going on in Rosarito, and you thought, that's not that far away from me, relatively speaking. And what did you do next?
Well, the seed was planted by another Hivian who I think is in the room. Steve C, is he in the room? Yes,
He's in
he
the
is.
room.
Well, the first Hive Fest after things started to open up a little bit after the lockdown was in Amsterdam. And he was posting about this in person, if you could get there, a few days where people on Hive were coming together and sharing things and enjoying time together and like sightseeing together. I'm like, what is this thing? I don't get it. But I was so intrigued that when the next Hive Fest came up, that was Hive Fest 8 in Rosarito, Mexico. And I was so scared to meet strangers, basically that I met in Web3, like what possessed me to do that, that I decided, okay, I'll go down a month early and talk myself out of it. And instead, they called me Dan, took me to lunch with a friend of his, and we walked along the beach and he explained, all the different high fests that he had been to, and his favorite one was Bangkok. And I knew nothing. I had a username on Hive. I didn't know anything about how it worked, what I could do with it. I just knew that there was something that was resonating with me. And so instead of talking myself out of it, I made my first decent post to document what this place is like and what it might be like to have not a conference, but to be somewhere really special and warm. And so the whole thing was set up on a stage right on the Pacific Ocean, right in Baja California. And I'm like, these people think outside the box. And so that's how that happened. And Dan said to me over enchiladas, he said, you could do anything here. Like you could come to High Fest, you could run a workshop, or you could you could we want to show NFTs. So you could install the art exhibition, you could speak on stage, you could sponsor the event. And so I just said, okay, 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 okay. And we did all of it. First High Fest.
So that in a way is really funny because what Alessandra did was she told me she was going down to scope out the surroundings to get familiar with them. She did not tell me she was going down there to try to talk herself out of it. So
Yeah.
you ended up
Your
doing
epic fail.
both the presentation and a workshop.
Uh-huh. And there were My New Life was there. Um, there were a couple of Turner X was there. The three, four of us, we got into a room with this nasty ass sketch that Starkers had made for us. And in came from the Home Depot, the home improvement store, in came all of these PVC pipes. And so here's this sketch, and here are all these pipes, and we all look at each other. We're just like, we're so in. And I mean, we were like we were like dogs on a pork chop, and we started building that thing. And day two came along, and my brothers didn't show up. And so, bitter irony, who's in the room with us, we spent a lot of time together. He helped me finish out the second day of it. And Shadows, you had artwork. You had a few pieces in that exhibition, and it basically was all held up with PVC pipes, duct tape, and baling wire, and it was remarkable. And that's how I learned about Swap.hive. I had to learn what it was so that I could buy some of the art. And some of our creative work hour people who were not even on Hive yet were like, I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds so cool. If I make some art for that, will you take it to Hive Fest and show it? And so that was that was just kind of like how it worked.
So you got through that Hive Fest. You did the presentation. You did the workshop. You jerry rigged the NFT display, and it didn't scare you away. So then you dived into meetups and representing Hive in different places. How did you
And that see,
manage?
that was another thing. I didn't know that Hive meetups were a thing. And I think by the time I went to that first High Fest, we had already had like 3 or 4 or 5, but we didn't know it was a thing. So we didn't know that there was a contest, and we could have entered the contest at that High Fest, and somebody would have bought us a margarita or something. I mean, I'll sing for my supper, right? Like Menno, he'll play for his supper. So it's really interesting how on Hive you can just like start doing stuff and have no idea what you're doing, and in arrears you find out, oh, that's a thing.
So how many meetups have you? Would you say you've gone to?
Whether I whether I was the originator or somebody else was,
Yeah,
probably a couple of dozen, easy.
and you've presented on behalf of Hive how many times?
Um, I felt 8 bug
So,
party. Yeah. Oh, but I ditched High Fest 10 because, of the accident.
oh yes,
I
the
went,
accident.
but I couldn't go to the stage, right?
Yep. So when you're there presenting on behalf of Hive, what is it that makes it interesting for you to do that presentation?
Okay, I had this psychiatrist once. Yeah. And there were sessions that I went to of his. I was never in his office. I would go to these lectures that he would do, but everybody that was in the lecture room were all like trying to get well. And what he taught that stuck with me was that if you want to learn something, teach it. Teachers learn the most because they've got skin in the game. They're the ones that are standing up there, and they've got to put some words together, and they need to make sense. And it increases the understanding, and it increases your resilience. And that's the draw of Hive to me.
So Menno said that he never expected an answer would begin like that, but he loved it. Kitty Girl has a question. She says, where do you get the energy to do all that you do between Hive meetups, presentations at blockchain events, clarinet performances, and let's not forget running Creative Work Hour 365 days of the year?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing. I mentioned that thing that people don't typically mention on Hive Thrive, a psychiatrist. I have lots of experience with clinical depression. And what I have learned is that if I sit still, it's going to eat me alive. But there's no running from it either. I mean, I have sold my house, sold my business, moved abroad, done really crazy creative stuff, all in, all my poker stacks, all in. And depression will chase you anywhere in the world. So don't think that you can out busy depression. Basically to do the things is I have to go, okay, this is what it feels like today to be in this body. This is what it feels like. I can give more attention to that and it will eat me alive. Or I can give more attention to what else is resonating besides, oh God, I kind of hurt today. What else is resonating? Oh, what am I afraid of learning? What am I afraid I'm not smart enough to figure out? And I'll let that be a clue of, okay, if I'm afraid I'm not smart enough to figure this thing out, is that a clue that maybe it wants me to learn it? And I start thinking of that thing like a relationship. So in Shadows, I know you've heard me talk about this before, that the Nobel winner, the physicist Richard Feynman, he looked at the world as full of problems, and he would pick his 1 dozen favorite ones, and he just referred to them lovingly, kindly, as his 12 favorite problems. And one of my big problems, is Hive. One of my favorite problems. And so therein enters the relationship. So Hive is the crypto. Hive is the app that I thought I was starting to get good at, and now it's not working. Hive is the bully that keeps running me down. I love Hive. It's my favorite problem.
It's Steve C's favorite problem too. But to answer Kitty Girl's question about the energy, it sounded to
Mhm.
me like what you were saying was, I can't outrun that dirty dog, but I will stay
Mhm.
just ahead of it.
Yeah, and the trick is to have people who know and love you, that you can say in 10 words or less, I've pretty much creeped myself out today, and I want to get something done about fill in the blank of your favorite problem. And to have somebody that in 10 words or less that you can reach out to that can say, okay, well, all right, so you're scared to start on Beethoven's Sixth Symphony that you're supposed to play in France in when? 6 weeks' time? What could you do for 5 minutes that might help that? What might be an example of something that a certain special friend of mine has said to me. And that gives me the energy to, okay, it's not that I have a bunch of energy, it's now we've moved the issue down to such a microscopic detail that it's doable even on my worst day. And that I think is the trick.
Sounds so. The meetups you find out through the network of people or postings on Hive. How do you get approached about doing presentations on behalf of Hive?
Well, Santa Claus. And
Oh,
what I mean by that
the
is
North Pole is
last
calling.
the North Pole is calling. Yes. Yeah, last Christmas Day, I got a message on Discord. And who the hell is on Discord on Christmas Day? Well, okay, you got me. But it's because in running a community and a very high friendly community, Bitter Irie and I were running a Christmas movie marathon, a 12-hour event. And while I was making sure that, we were pinging people in, doing the thing like what Kitty Girl does here, the at here, all right, we're about to start, we're about to start red one, it's coming up in 7 minutes. Go get your run down the hall, get your popcorn, get your drink, get in here because the movie's about to start. And I got a message from Guilty saying, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this thing?" And I'm like, again, I'm looking to my left, I'm looking to my right. I'm like, he's got the wrong girl. I'm like, I don't think this was for me. He's like, no, really, would you do it? And I'm from Texas and I'm a little bit scared of it, but it's my favorite problem. So I said, hell yeah.
Traveling Crafter has asked, "How can I join your Hive workshop?" I think she might mean Creative Work Hour.
Oh yeah, I'll send you an invitation. I'll get you the so we have a Discord for it. Actually, we have two. Um, Many communities on Hive are Hive communities from the get-go. Um, when I came to Hive, I came with a whole community with me. So we onboarded the entire community. Uh, we've had new people join since then. Some people are not ready to go. Can you explain blockchain to me? Some of them are like big people on YouTube. They're big people in Medium. They're playwrights, they're composers, they're all kinds of different things. Half of them are on Hive. Some of them are Hive curious, but not yet. Don't overwhelm me. And the others are like, yeah, that's not for me. I love you. Can I still stay? And we're like, of course. Yeah.
Okay, um, you've got that invitation on Christmas Day, but that invitation didn't actually come to fruition until, was it November this year or early December? Early December.
It was it was early December. It was supposed to happen in July.
Yep.
And I was already speaking at Clarinet Fest, which is, I don't even know, not everybody here knows what a clarinet is, but if you think of George Gershwin and the opening bars of, this, that's a clarinet. I play one of those things. They call it a liquor stick. They call it a devil stick. And I was going to an event where there are 3,500 of these people from all over the world playing clarinets. And so that event called Tokenize London, this is its 10th year. Well, 2025 was its 10th year. Um, that event was happening at the very tail end of Clarinet Fest. So I figured it out, laid it all out in the calendars and the flights and whatever. And I'm like, if I finish my talk at Clarinet Fest, get off the stage, get in a taxi, get the first flight to London, I can make it. And so I was able to sign everything and make the commitment. Um, and then they said, we're not doing it. We're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it later. And it Menno's funny. Yes, it's true. What happens at Clarinet Fest stays at Clarinet Fest. Boy, don't you know it. Thank you, kitty girl. Um, and so as it turned out, finally, after High Fest 10 was done, we got the news that it had been rescheduled. It was still going to be at 2020 in 2025, but it was going to be in December. And I remember asking Guilty, I said, who in their right minds would do a conference of this scale in December? And what he said was, well, it gives us a really great opportunity. I was like, What are you talking about?" He said, "We're going to do Hive is going to sponsor the whole center island of this whole event as a European style, a German style Christmas market. And it's going to have the big hot dog trucks, and it's going to have the coffee and the mulled wine and the beers and a stage for the band. And we're not going to have a stand. The Hivians are not going to have a stand where we stand and we try to grab people and talk to them as they're walking by. No, we're going to be the whole heart of the event." And it was the craziest, most brilliant thing. And I've been going to all different industries have conferences, and I've done architecture, I've done design, I'm an industrial designer, I've done color forecasting conferences, clarinet fest, you name a conference, and I may have been to one of those types of conferences. And this one was just so radically crazy that I'm like, it's gonna work. And it's gonna be the best thing ever. And it was. It was fantastic.
So we've set the stage, or rather, the center stage. Now's a good time for Menno to pick up and go through tokenized London.
Hey, Minnow. Thank you,
Hey,
Dennis.
hey. Well, I'm loving the conversation so far. Honestly, I mean, Alessandra, I know you're lovely. I've watched your videos on 3Speak, because obviously I'm working with them, so I end up watching a lot of videos these days, which is good, which is good. But I just had no idea that you took such a, let's call it a psychological approach to your personality and your drive and all that stuff, and I love it. I honestly think some of the things you said apply for everybody. I mean, it's yeah, you are, maybe you don't consider yourself to be so, but you are a very social person. You're pretty much like a musician. You like the stage. You say you're afraid of it, but I can tell that you crave it, and that's great. But the challenges that you've overcome, these little tricks, the one who's like, hey, what can I do right now for 5 minutes? Well, those things work for everybody, so it doesn't really matter what you do for a living. I think what Alessandra gave you guys today is a golden nugget, and everybody should take it home. uh, but let's talk about the well, Steve is already sharing some pictures. Let's talk about that event, because I know about it, of course, but I know about it from from reading from the blog. But I want to know how it felt. I want to know if you knew Steve before that event, if you knew Max Sam before, if you had spoken, or you guys became friends that one day.
Well, it's really interesting. I feel like I met Steve C from his blogs at that High Fest 7 in Amsterdam. And when I met him, I just about blew it because I was really very so socially anxious that the first once I realized that Hive meetups were a thing, the first one that I did after that was in London, and Bitter Irony was with me, and I told Steve that this was like something I was interested in doing, and he was like, "Yeah, you better get the word out there. You better do it. You better do it. You better do it. I'm just saying, get the word out there. The sooner the better." And I was so scared that I drug my feet and I drug my feet and I drug my feet almost to the point that I missed the thing. In fact, we kind of did miss our own event, and it's just to Steve's being so persistent and patient that Bitter Irony and Steve and I met each other November the 30th of 2023. Now, Sam, McSam, and Collins were trying to get to us, but because I didn't have the information out there in time, we completely missed each other. Of course, I felt
What?
terrible. The next day, they were in town because there was another conference going on. So it's like, oh, we can save it. We can save it. We can still meet McSam and Collins. So Steve had already gone back home. And so Bitter Irony and I, we go to the conference to meet McSam and Collins. Again, we missed them. So what we ended up doing, they sent us a picture of where they were. And they were like, "We've missed each other again. We have to go get our trains." So they did. They got their trains. And so what we ended up doing is we went and we found the exact spot at the conference where they had their pictures made. And then we went and got somebody who worked for the conference. And so we posed ourselves just like Nick Sam and Collins were in that scenario.
Uh-huh.
And we made identical pictures and we sent it to them. And from that point forward, we knew if even though we'd never met in person, that we would always be friends. And it just so happened at Tokenized London, McSam spoke on the very same stage where you see me speaking. He spoke on that very same spot the day before. We've met
Ah,
McSam. 3, 4 times. Um, I've met Steve C 5 times now in person, and I think, Bitter Irony's met him 4 times.
So do you know Steve C is also a musician? So one day you two could plan a little show. Steve C plays
Okay.
guitar, bass,
Well,
everything.
well, here's a funny story because talking about missing each other, it turns
Uh-huh.
out that in I think it was June of 2025, Steve C had a gig in a town in England on the same day I had a gig in the same town in England. I mean, a tiny town. Again, we missed each other.
What? And now you're gonna tell me that the town had one bar, and you still met each other.
It was really, really crazy. So the next month, we took the train. Bitter was here from Boston, and we took the train down from Leeds, and we went to see Steve C and his band perform in that same town. We did not miss him.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, she was
yeah.
performing in a church. Okay, that makes sense. Is it like one of those towns where people count the cows to not feel so lonely? Like how many people live there? I live in one of those
Hochmöglich.
towns.
It was plenty. It was plenty, but not a big city. No.
Yeah. There's probably like 800 people here on a good day. That's it, where I live. But I
And
like it that way.
what is your time zone, Menno?
Um, well, right now for me it's 1:30, 34. So what is that? UTC minus 5, something like that.
There you go. Okay, that's
He's
good to know.
he's in Eastern time.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go. Look at the picture of Steve. And of course, the guitar has to have the sticker because otherwise that guitar would be illegal. Otherwise, that guitar would be illegal. I love it. So,
Oh,
Alessandra,
so
look,
fun.
let me ask you. So, we're talking about you performing on stage. I know you're presenting, and I know you're teaching, and I love this idea that you shared with us, and I agree. But the best way to learn is to teach. I think I heard that when I was a kid, and I disagreed with it. But these days, I violently agree with that saying, and I like teaching. So I guess my question to you is that a passion of yours? You love teaching. Does it give you that funny, warm, fuzzy feeling in the heart? Is that is that accurate to say?
There are teachers who teach what they know, and that doesn't seem to capture my imagination. I have to teach something I don't know, where there's a mad dog chasing me, that I better learn it. I better learn it. I better learn it. It's time to get to the stage. You better know what you're talking about. Hurry up. Chop, chop, chop. So there's something about the urgency of you better learn it. You better be able to recite it, make a mnemonic for it that just creates a certain electricity.
So this is like an adrenaline junkie kind of thing. It's like, oh my god, I got a
Yeah.
presentation in 2 hours, and I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Pretty much, but you have to have your high friends to be like, okay, I'm going to pitch this to you, and does that sound right to you, or is there something wrong with it? And I've had a very, very faithful, loving friend or two in this room say to me, "Well, that's pretty much right, except for this part and this part and this part."
Well, good friends tell the truth. They're not afraid of correcting. You can do it lovingly, but good friends
Hmm.
tell the.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
let me ask you a question that is related to this because I find this to be, since you're full of little psychological tricks, I find this to be one of those things that most people struggle with. Maybe struggle is not the right word, maybe it is. Do you ever deal with, and if you do, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Where you get on a stage and you're like, what am I doing here? I'm not the right person.
Oh yeah, no, that shit's gonna come with you. It's like I mentioned, the depression thing. It's gonna come with you wherever you go in the world. The imposter thing is just gonna be there. But here's the trick. And I read this from an author, Elizabeth Gilbert. Is the way that she puts her crazy in a box is she says, okay, that voice in your head is going to come with you wherever you're going to go. So let's just say that whatever you're doing in your creative work, in your hive work, in your development work, whatever you're doing, let's just say that that journey is you're driving a car. Now, crazy voice in the head is not allowed to drive, but they're allowed to come. They're not allowed
Mm-hmm.
to sit in the front seat and fiddle with the radio. They're allowed to come because crazy voice in the head is really that friend of yours that you had in high school that's so crazy that if somebody were to mess with you, that crazy voice would tear them up to protect you. So I know crazy voice is there to help me, to protect me. So I let crazy voice ride in the back seat. I know you're there. I know you're scared. I know this is, you know, we're all in. We've sold our house, we've sold our business, we've moved to Europe to study architecture. Who does that? But they get to come. And that is part of the journey. That is part of the journey is let the crazy voice come. Now, what I've learned on Hive, and this has kind of been an accelerated learning thing, is that on Hive, some people may, if I'm too authentic too soon, they smell that as a weakness. And what I've learned is that that's like it's like a cowbell being rung for the bullies. And so I've learned more about how to deal with bullies on Hive than I've ever learned in any other part of my life. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for it.
That
So
is
much so.
interesting.
Well, so much so that now when it happens, it gets me laughing. I laugh. It's because they're so predictable and they're not very creative. They're, they're not. They're not very creative. I find that the bullies they say the same things to different people. They say the same things to us all.
Yeah.
There's not an original bully on Hive.
Yeah, there's always going to be those voices, right? It doesn't matter what ecosystem you're talking about. There's always going to be some people there that you wonder, logically so, why are you here? Like you seem to hate this place. You seem to hate everywhere. Why are you here? But if you, I guess, respond to them, if you feed them, then you're validating whatever crazy illusion they have in their head, whatever cycle they decided to jump into. And so the best thing to do is possibly what you just said, laugh about it and ignore them.
Well, I have a deeper theory about it. And I don't know, this is maybe outside of scope of Hive, but I think where the bullies show up in Hive in plain sight is very interesting to me. And this is what I think is happening. And it's all about the beauty of Hive. So let's just say Discord went away and we didn't have this really easy way to like turn on a switch, turn on a toggle, and open up a mic and have a show, right? Let's just say we didn't have that. Let's just say that we were a text only community where relationships deepen is in the replies under posts. People can tell, even if the writing is not good and the picture is shitty, people can tell if your heart is in it, if you're trying to share, even if it's difficult, even if you have issues with learning or writing or remembering or whatever. But people can recognize from a mile away that they tried, they're trying. They're trying to let us see them. And the relationships that form out of replies is the magic of Hive. That's what will hold us together when Hive hits a low. That's what will hold us together. Now, what happens with the bullies is they don't get that in anywhere else in their lives. They've probably never had that, and they see it happen right in front of them, and it
Oh,
triggers them. It hurts. It hurts, and they don't like it. It upsets them that I'm replying to your post, Minnow, or I'm giving us a cute but kind of a smart ass answer to Shadow's daily echo. being who I am and the reply under your post can be threatening to somebody who doesn't have people in their lives that love them. And when that happens, the trigger is they grab those shields of the copy paste bully stuff. And that's what we're seeing. I'm convinced that's what we're seeing.
I agree. There's I'm no need to put names out there, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. There's this guy who is, in my opinion, he's just a bully, and he's just every day spamming me, Steve, a bunch of people, saying, of course, horrible things. And I try my best to ignore, and I do 99% of the time. But every now and then, I go like, "Ugh, let me just go ahead and reply to this because he'll say something that would affect me. But normally, I'm just like, okay, this person is just off the rocker, and I don't know why that person is still around. But it's difficult. It's easy to say, and I can agree with you 100%, but it's difficult to do. To deal with them is difficult. I know Steve knows what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. He's I inherited that guy from Steve.
Well, we share each other's bullies. And
Yeah.
the trick is if I'm kind to you, that could trigger somebody. So that'll show
Yeah.
me, stop being kind.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like all
But
of a
but it,
sudden
but
all
it's
of us,
but
because we're
yeah.
friends because we're friends and we're either all the same person pretending to be other people, or we're all in a cabal and I don't know, it's some crazy stuff. Obviously somebody who has mental issues. Sad to say. And I'm not saying that to make fun, but
Hey,
it's kinda crazy.
some of my favorite people. That's all it's no, but it's true. And and ways to mute in some views work. And then you go to a different front end, or you go to a different tool, or you go to the Friday bot or whatever, and those mutes unzip and you see them. So I think if we can be curious, like, can I tolerate, can I be okay that came into my feed? Can I be okay even though that came into my feed? Can I still be okay? What else can I do right now that would be maybe a little more creative? Because here's the thing, is that whether it's hive drama or if it's drama at home, or drama and creativity cannot occupy the same space. It can't. The more caught
They
up you get in the drama, the farther and farther and farther away you're going to get from being able to do a goddamn thing creatively. But if you can just use like the 5-minute trick, I'm just going to go over here and open up something very small, like your beautiful tool, Snappy. I'm just going to open up a Snappy and I'm just going to like write 3 to 5 words. I may not even finish it. That will start to pull you out of the upset of what you just saw land in your feed. It's a good trick.
Yeah.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, I think we all get the situations, and I'm sure it's happened to you. Now you haven't shared this too much, so if you don't want to talk about this personally, okay, it might be too personal. That's what I'm trying to say. That's fine. But the fact that you changed, country, you went to the Europe and all this stuff, it means that you're somebody who, although can be uncomfortable, you just plow right through. And I'm gonna do. I don't know what happened that made you want to leave the U.S. I have a similar situation myself. I left the U.S. 5 years ago, but there are days, and I'm sure it's happened to you. There are days where I just doubt myself, and I get something that some people call paralysis by analysis.
Mm.
Have you ever heard that before? I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then what you're saying right now is basically the remedy to paralysis by analysis. Okay, listen, if I try to think of the whole thing, if I try to imagine how everything's going to work out, I'm going to be stuck right here. I can't move because I doubt the next movement. But if
Yeah.
I just, as you said, 5 minutes, do something, then I'll figure it. Almost like you're kicking the can down the road. It's like I don't know exactly how to get there, but I know it's in that general direction. So let me walk a little bit.
Mhm, mhm. It's true. And And frankly, I divide my time between the US and the UK. Like, I have, oh, I have this gorgeous diary. You may call it a planner. And it has this, this embossed crocodile red leather. It's made by Smithson in the UK. And I got the
Mhm.
last red one in the whole country, and I had
Okay.
them take it, and they imprinted it in gold leaf on the front. For it says CWH for Creative Work Hour plus HIVE. So it says CWH and Hive. And inside that real book, I keep track of how many days I've been in the UK as of today, and how many days I've been in the US as of today, how many days I've been outside those two countries as of today. It's just part of what I do, and I try to keep them in balance. And actually, we got a very early flight out of Krakow to make sure that we were here in plenty enough time to host Creative Work Hour and to be here for Hive Thrive. In fact, I think out of all of the Hive Thrive shows, I think I've only missed 9 out of your 39.
That's pretty impressive. Like you've missed less than me. I think I've missed probably half at this point. But in my defense, I'm not the only co-host. There's Shadow has two more. Ed's gonna be back. I know a little bit later, but we have Blood Coins and Aloha Ed, which the man with the voice,
The man with the voice.
the man with the voice. So hey, Shadow, I want to say that it seems like you and Alessandra are like kindred spirits. Like a lot of the stuff that that she's telling us right now feels like it's very much connected to the way that you see life as well, you know, driven by creativity and what have you. So I suspect you ladies are have become really good friends. But do you guys have plans of meeting up in person? I think you guys should. I think
We
Shadow maybe
already
should get on the
we
stage
all
with you one day.
well, not
Yeah,
on
we did 3
stage.
years
We have met.
3 years ago.
Oh yeah?
Alexandra
Where
and her sidekick Bitter Irony were both sitting in my home one day during creative work hour.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know. You got to tell me more about this.
So
Yeah, so I've met go ahead.
she was attending a conference in Toronto, and they made the arrangements were made for them to come out here. Bitter Irony is driving, which it should have been my clue to give directions to Bitter Irony, but I gave them
Oh my.
to Alessandra. So we're sitting here, and I'm watching it, and I'm figuring out the timing on it, and according to my timing, they should have been rolling into my driveway just about 3 minutes before creative work hour started. They didn't arrive, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" So a few minutes later, I texted Alexander and I said, "Where are you? You should have been in my drive." She says, "We just passed this," and she gave me the name of a sign that's on the other side of town. They had driven past my
Oh my
house, into town, and straight out of town. So it was
god.
turn around and back you come.
We
So
were gone, baby, gone.
she, I'm the only blue house between the exit that they took and the town. And I told Alexander that, but she wasn't paying attention to it to pass it on to Bitter
I
Irony.
don't listen. I don't listen.
Yes, it is a small town. You can blink twice. It's about 1,500 people.
I'm gonna go ahead and support bitter irony right now because men always get blamed.
No,
Oh, same thing in my.
he was not to blame. Alexandra was. She did not pass it
It
on
was
to him.
me. It was all on me. It was all on me. So there
Okay.
there I am with bitter irony at the tokenized London, and there were these Christmas trees everywhere, and you see that little ornament in the photograph. That ornament is like supposed to be a British Christmas cracker. So I collected them all from the Christmas trees, like all of us that were there. We you know They all took one home, and I collected. Yeah, I'm like racing ahead of the people that are taking down the conference stuff, right? And I pulled them at so at every meetup that I go to until they run out. If I see you, you're getting a present.
Oh,
You'll
that's
get
pretty
what
cool.
you'll
That's a
get.
pretty good. I like that threat. I like it a lot. I never been threatened like that.
So,
If I
Alessandra,
see you, you're getting a present. Okay.
Alessandra, tell us where those crackers came from.
Oh, the oh oh. Are you prompting me for the story about the handmade presents?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So when I was doing the talk, um, like we just got back from Krakow, as I mentioned, and this is our second, well, my second visit there. I wanted to take, we had an anniversary over the weekend, Bitter Irony and I. So I wanted to take him to Krakow and show him the city. It's an amazing old town. I mean, it's just remarkable. So so antiquated, but the city was spared because the Nazis back in the day wanted that to be their headquarters. So they didn't mess it up. So it stays like this just pristine city of architecture and history going back to the 13th century. It's remarkable. And what is there is the in real life. Um, it's a hive hub of sorts, called the kingdom. And the account for the kingdom on Hive is, I'm just gonna type it for you because I can't pronounce any. And I mean I can't pronounce any Polish. It's sad. But here's the name of it. There's the name of the account. Um, so I took Bitter Irony there, and at that place, they have a room for game playing. We like played board games that were turned into board games created for Hivians. Like one was called The Secret Sun, and like the whole nemesis of the game was, of course, Justin Sun, right? And so you're trying to figure out who the mole is in your team, and so you're playing for blocks that are produced or blocks that are missed. And so like this it's real life. It's real people coming together and getting Hive accounts, and it's remarkable. The what In November, Hive Beacon was there for part of the weekend, and we went to the newly opened art studio. Hive has an art studio. How'd you know? And so during that weekend, we handmade ceramic, um, not baubles, but ornaments, and we glued uh, magnets to the back of them so that you could put them like in your office or you could put them on your refrigerator. But we hand finished each one of these. So they looked very old world Polish, embossed with Hive logo and the Hive logo type. And so at the end of the event in November, Guilty said, I want you to bring all of those with you to London, and I want you to do something interesting with them. And so at the end of the Hive talk, I said, now we are Hive. Here is the Hive team. And I introduced everybody. And Steve C was really great. He handled a question that I technically could have answered, but I was so afraid I was going to muck it up that as the microphone was being sent back to the Deutsche Bank banker who had the question, um, I'm secretly on the side slapping Steve C on the knee, saying, I want you to take this question because I think I'm toast. And he handled it beautifully. And as we finished up that question, I said, okay, now that we're done with this, we invite all of you over into the middle section where the bar is, where the hot dog truck is. We want to invite you to be our guests over there. We want to hear what you're doing and what you're interested in, what you would like to build on Hive, what your questions are. And before you go, we have presents for you. It's Christmas time. This is the Christmas Market Networking event sponsored by Hive, and we have brought these handmade gifts for you. And the whole crowd just leaned in toward the stage. I'm like, wait, we're going to get I mean, it was almost like everybody turned into their inner child. And this small little box that had like 60, 70 presents in it, that audience picked it clean. They loved it so much. To see a group at the end of day 2 of a conference light up like that was just precious. I will never forget it.
It's an awesome story. I love that story. But I have to ask if they didn't think it was chocolate, because that could have been it too. Hey, we're about to reach the hour, so I know pretty soon it's going to be over. As you guys know, we always have a hangout afterwards, so you can stick around. We can talk about other stuff. But the recorded section is about to die. And I know Shadow has, I don't know if you would call it a tradition at this point, which are the last questions before we say goodbye. So I'm going to hand it over to Shadow. And then we're possibly going to end the recording after that.
So, do you have a future conference already set up, or are you just waiting to see what comes down the pipe?
Oh, no, actually, it's Alicante, Spain. It is the very, very end of March, beginning of April. PH 1102, Paloma MP3. Paloma P3 is are two of the Spanish speaking organizers, and Tib Fox has already done the website for it. I don't know if somebody has I think it is https:// hiveopendays.com. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous site. In fact, I'm going to hire him to do the brand new Creative Work Hour website. So we're going to get going on that as soon as we can kind of catch up with some things. But it would be so lovely if you can. And apparently, there are plenty of cheap flights and cars to rent to get to Alicante if you're in that part of the world. It'll be a lot of fun, and actually, it will be. My music debut in front of Hive. Me piano um, and I are going to play live in concert during the event.
Traveling Crafter would like to know if there's one in the coming up in the states. I don't know that
Not
there's
that
been
I
any in the
know of.
states. Yeah. So you've gone to several of these. You've presented several times about Hive. How do you feel about the importance of showing up at these events and showing, you know, talking about Hive and putting Hive out in front of people?
I'm not afraid to hear the words, that is the biggest waste of money. I'm not afraid to hear those words because that is a common sentiment.
And how do
That
you feel
said,
about them?
well, I have been doing international conferences for 20 years. Sometimes as a speaker, sometimes as an exhibitor, sometimes as a correspondent for uh, magazines or journals online, what have you. Um, and so I have an eye for conferences, and it's interesting how politics, how wars, how things that natural disasters affect how a conference will land or not. I feel very strongly that if we believe that Hive is worth our personal time, then by God, we need to get there. Speak up for ourselves. Be proud of what we're doing. We will work out the tech. We will work out the crypto. The smartest people I've ever met in my life are in this room right now. And there are thousands of us who care. There are thousands of us who are creative. We are problem solvers, and we're not scared of problems. We pick out our favorites. But let me tell you what's not going to help us is to let somebody else speak for Hive, to mouth off in our absence. That's not okay.
Negativity can show up quite easily, can't it?
I think I found a soapbox. Sorry, guys.
What's that?
I said, I think I found my soapbox.
We noticed that.
Jesus, Jesus. I guess I have a feeling about it. I will defend Hive to the death. I will. And there's nobody paying me to go anywhere. I pay my way. I will play for my supper.
Okay, so two questions I usually ask everyone, so I will ask you. What do you like least about Hive?
Uh, what I like least is when I think I have figured out a workflow so it doesn't take as much time or where I don't lose my material before I've published it. I hate it when I lose a workflow that I think is going to work and I have to like start all over again and come up with a new workflow because, sometimes our shit don't work. That's my least favorite. But that's where we are because we are not happy as a people unless we are constantly living in a beta condition. That's who we are,
Constantly learning.
constantly learning.
And what do you like most?
What I love most is when I can actually string enough words together to tell a story and maybe play something to go along with it. I've been really shy about playing on Hive, really shy. But it came close. Like I almost sang you something for the Christmas post, but instead I read you a story, and that was um, a visit from Saint Nicholas. So that was kind of so putting together the stockings for the people who helped me make it to Dolphin in 3 years, um, and reading the story and telling a story. I think that I was so high. I think I finished that post at 2 a.m. I couldn't get to sleep until 5 a.m. I don't think it gets any better than that.
There you go. Kitty Girl has put up the um, post for Alicante. Just quickly to before we wrap up, tell people what creative work hour is. The elevator
Creative
version.
work, the elevator work, creative work hour is a place that helps you get shit done. Okay. Now, that could be for your work that pays the bills. That could be for this crazy creative thing that you don't want your Hive friends to know that you're into. It could be for anything, but it's all about identify what that thing is that wants doing. It's not going to do itself. So we're the people that will hold a sacred space for you every goddamn day. We do it live. We do it in 3 events a day. We've done over 3,200 live events, and we'll be there at least 3 times again tomorrow. That's what we do. It's what we do. And I will put in the
Then what?
that you can join us. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Shadows.
So Alessandra, thank you for being here today. See, we weren't too hard on you, were we?
Once we got going, I was all right.
Any last words, Meadow?
As always, my deep gratitude to you, Alessandra, to everybody who showed up for this beautiful conversation. I'm walking away feeling pretty good about our community once again. I think one of the reasons I love doing Hive Thrive and I love hosting is because I get to feel pumped afterwards. So I'm walking away pumped and grateful. So thank you.
I think I have to ditto that
Thank you.
on that with Menno. And also, thank you for everyone who was here today. Thank you to our guest, and thank you to those that may be listening on the recording. Until next week. Oh, next week. Let's not forget Andarchy. Anyone who is on the legacy chain will know who Andarchy is. He was one of the individuals at Steam It Inc. And he's coming to have a chat with us next week. So until then, bye for now.